Kind of what makes our distillery very unique is that we're from farm to end product. So we go from the very beginning to the very end. And when we built the distillery, we built her very green. We love art because we figure everything that people do, and a lot of people don't understand, they take themselves for granted. What they do, and they do it good, it's a form of art. So we created our distillery, very fun. It's got a lot of art in it. When my wife and I, Patty, created the distillery, we wanted to fit in, so we put wizard's caps on our stills, and we did the whole distillery in steampunk, and it kind of fits the area very well. We have tours on the weekends, and in fact, we're right in the process now of remodeling Fremont Mischief. We're adding a bigger store, a bigger tour area, and we're making it a destination. The tours are really fun. You get to learn about distillation, you get to learn about our area, and it's all about the people. How we got into this, we both had other businesses, and when that came law for the state of Washington about 8 years ago, my wife and I looked at each other and we thought, boy, this might be a good way to wind down, and just figured this would be a good way for us to slow down a little bit. And we started building Fremont Mischief. We live in Fremont, we love our city. Couldn't have had a better place to do this.
Revel is a really interesting restaurant. It's Asian street food. The vibrancy of the restaurant is really what I think makes it special. You come in, you have loud music playing, lots of people, great food coming out. We have our grill shack during the summer and our hot pots during the winter. So we have a few rice dishes that we do with different sides of kimchi. So we have a tuna bowl, we have our short rib rice bowl, which is very popular. We also do a couple noodle dishes where we make the noodles in-house. We have our crab noodle. We also right now are featuring a beef noodle as well. And then we have dumplings that we do fresh in-house daily as well. Short rib, we're doing a mushu pork as well. For vegetarians, we do have a mushroom dumpling with a little bit of barley. And those are very popular. People come in specifically for those. The open kitchen, I think, is something that's really the centerpiece of our restaurant, and I think that it creates a great synergy between the diner and the chef. They get to see the food being prepared right in front of them, see how fresh it is, and all the love that the cooks and the chefs are putting into their dishes, which I think creates the atmosphere that we have here.
The mall, it's an eclectic grouping of, I have a lot of individual dealers that make up the mall. So for instance, the spot that we're in is an individual that, buys for his taste, and it ranges from, vintage furniture to vintage records to clothing to collectibles. We do, it really varies. I mean, I have a dealer here that does a lot of vinyl records, so we sell a significant amount of vinyl records. A lot of mid-century furniture, industrialized kind of stuff that may be repurposed into something else that can be a decor item. We do some advertising pieces. We sell a lot of clothing. And then really from there it ranges to a lot of pop culturist kind of, collectibles. As I say, we're not grandma's antique store. We don't sell a lot of period primitive stuff. We don't do a lot of dishware unless it's maybe a 50s, 60s type set, barware and things like that. But really from there it just kind of spans the decades of, kind of cool, neat items. It's got a long history. I mean, it goes back from, I think the 80s that is actually probably created, and in the 90s, but, in its heydays, when the grunge music scene was going on, a lot of those people were shopping in the store because they recorded in those, and so it's, Fremont itself as a neighborhood's always had the art background and creative. And so it's just kind of grown up through that, and it's gone through a couple owners. I've owned it now for about 8 years, and since I've owned it, it's kind of keeping that history of individual talent, bringing in people that bring a unique grouping of products that fit a culture of people. So we as I always like to say, we have something for everyone. And I think that's what makes it unique. You can bring your whole family here, and they'll all enjoy the experience.
Yeah, Milstead & Co. We've been here about 3.5 years, almost 4, coming up pretty soon. We're a local coffee shop, multi-roaster coffee shop is kind of the format that we work on. What we kind of do is we find our favorite coffee roasters from all over the country. We kind of pick our favorite coffees from each one of those guys, and we try to offer like quite a variety of coffee as far as like roast profiles, kind of flavors, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's kind of an exploration in just the variety of coffee that's available in the world, really. The coffee industry definitely has grown a lot in the last like 25, 30 years, especially here in Seattle. Coffee culture's kind of grown to the degree where you know, roasters and customers, baristas, everybody are starting to look towards things like who's growing the coffee, how it's processed, you know, how we can kind of make the whole industry operate better and more beneficial for everybody involved. So first and foremost, it's that sort of consciousness that goes into sourcing the coffee. So all of our roasters are real keen on that sort of idea. After that, it's really up to just what we like to taste, you know. There's so many different varieties of coffee out there. Varietals are going to be different, processing methods, roast profiles, that sort of thing. And again, we want to offer like quite a variety, so we try to find somebody who's roasting the best dark coffee, roasting the best light coffee, and everything kind of in between. So
Fremont's a real artist community, and I feel like I'm seeing things that I, you know, haven't seen before. I also feel like it's a really tight-knit community as well. You know, we have a lot of repeat guests that come in that support all the local businesses here. Fremont really supports itself that way.
You know, we call ourselves the center of the universe. I think, you know, it's always been a funky vibe, and therefore a lot of the stores around here have followed suit with that. And, you know, we do have a variety though of boutiques and restaurants and you know, in stores like mine, vintage stores. It's got a real rich vintage history.
Fremont's about community, and we're fortunate enough to be part of that. The cool thing about Fremont, it's growing, changing. Fremont is probably one of the only little towns in Seattle that is right in Seattle that is not only community and housing, but it's also an industrial area. So we're kind of in the middle of neighborhoods, residential, but it's also industrial. And that's how Seattle started.
Fremont is kind of surprising. It's, in my mind, it's definitely embodied like current Seattle in a lot of ways. You still have a lot of those people who've been here in Fremont for a long, long time. You know, people who've been here well before the tech industry kind of moved in, that sort of thing. And now that the tech thing has kind of started to take off here in Fremont as well, we have this sort of combination of the old and the new sort of coming together. It's kind of a meeting place for people and people from all walks of life. And really that's kind of Fremont in general.